Hey guys, Loco here, Mile Monsters Inc. rider, Hoka Hey finisher in 24. Attempted the Hoka Hey this year, and I'm chatting with Staxx.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Loco. What's up, man?
What's up, Staxx? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, not a problem, not a problem.
So, where were you born and raised?
I was born in California, actually. Raised up here in Oregon. Yeah. I didn't spend very much time down in California. I was just a little baby. Kids brought me up here, folks brought me up here as a baby, and then I just was raised here in Oregon.
When did you get your first motorcycle?
Let's see, I was 18, 19 years old, something like that. And so I've been riding for damn near 20 years.
And I'm sure you've seen a lot of things on the road, right?
Oh yeah, bunch of stuff. I mean, I haven't been to every state yet, but I got tons of miles under my belt, and just always looking to put more under. The Hoka Hey Motorcycle Challenge, and the Hoka Hey Motorcycle Challenge is kind of a personal challenge that is a charity ride. Essentially, each of the riders they apply to do it. There's an application process that happens. You get 2 interviews. Go through 2 interviews just to make sure that the organizers and the board of directors are pleased with your experience, because I mean this is no Sunday joyride. Um,
Yeah, they don't just
and
let anybody do this, right?
correct. That you got to be vetted essentially, to make sure that you have, long distance riding experience to be able to back up, what you're doing. So for me, the Hoka Hey Motorcycle Challenge started in 24. That was my first one. I applied, went through the 2 interviews, and then I was accepted as rider number 1159. And that year, we knew that we were starting in Daytona Beach, Florida, and then going to Homer, Alaska, with approximately 10,000 miles in between those 2 points.
Damn. Can you walk me through, like, what's the process to get ready for something like this? Like for your
Ride,
first trip? You just
ride, and then ride some more. Everybody, kind of trains and prepares differently, right? Because of the way that it's set up, it's a personal challenge, right? So, for some people, it's just getting more time in the saddle. For other more experienced long distance riders, it's refining the craft, right? Um, Becoming more efficient in what you do, i.e., like fuel stops, for example. That's a good example. For people that are used to huge amounts of time in the saddle, a fuel stop is a point in which you can decrease your time significantly to be able to maximize the amount of mileage you can do in one day. So, like I said, it depends on where your skill level's at, really.
yeah.
So for me, preparing for 26, fuel stops was one of those things. I wanted to, train myself, make sure that I was good to go, and I can do a fuel stop sometimes in under 2 minutes, depending on the pump, depending on if I have to go inside to pay or if I can pay at the pump, right? How fast the pump is, how, there's a lot of variables that go into how fast or slow a fuel stop can be.
Wow, when you go
But
into this, are you trying to win this competition? Like,
well,
like, what's the
it,
goal?
that's a tricky question. That's a tricky question because it's a personal challenge, right? It's a personal challenge. However, there are a lot of riders who, anyway, for lack of a better term, are competitive. So they want to be in first place. I mean, I'm one of them. I'll admit.
Yeah.
So while it's not a race, I personally challenge myself to come in first place. So, eh, you know, it depends on kind of the way you look at it.
Now, some people sleep in hotels. Some people sleep in book bag or sleeping bags, right? Like, what are the criteria? And
Well,
you get a GPS monitor on you too, right?
right, exactly. So you mentioned earlier that it's some sort of ride with a bunch of rules, right? So I'm going to break down kind of the rules that apply to the Hoka Hey. One, you have to sleep next to your bike every night. Okay. Two, there's no electronic navigation allowed. Um, three, if you get a moving violation of any kind, moving violation, not just speeding, it's a disqualification. Um, you have to follow the turn by turn directions explicitly. So, you get given at the starting line about 15 minutes prior to the start, you get given a little packet, a couple pages, 3 pages, depending on where the route is going. Um, and that packet, you will follow that to a T. In 5 miles, take a right on East Main, not West Main, but East Main. For 200 miles, follow Highway 20, Highway 26, Highway 50. It doesn't
And there is
matter.
no major highways on this route, right? Or is
For the
there?
most part, yeah. I mean, occasionally, maybe 5%, if that, will be interstate. And the only reason that there would be interstate during this event is to get you from one back road country highway to the next one down the interstate to be able to continue in the direction that you're trying to go, or
Oh.
the directions tell you to go.
Wow, so that's pretty crazy. One violation gets you disqualified. What about a warning?
Warning does not get you. I actually got both this year. Uh, I got pulled over the other night for speeding, and I was he got me at 60 and a 55 in a 50 or 55. I think it was 60 and a 50, which was funny because I have a radar detector on my bike, and I asked him. I said, "Did you get me with radar or laser?" And he goes, "Radar." I'm like, okay. Just carried about my business because my radar didn't go off. But anyway, I digress. So that ended up being a warning. And then in rule that was in Oklahoma. I think I was still in Oklahoma at that point. But then I think it was the next day. And I think it was the next day I got a unlawful passing citation in get a load of this Ruleville, Mississippi.
So what, you were passing somebody in a no passing
I was
zone
lane
or
filtering is what it was. So there was, 4 cars ahead of me. At the stoplight, we were taking a left turn at. Well, I was because I was riding solo at that point, and so I filtered up, to the front of the line, and this unmarked pickup just came around the line of cars that were going straight, and just kind of nosed in at me, hit his lights, and blared his siren at me, and I kind of looked at him. I'm like, it's red light. What do you want me to do, dude? And he pointed over to a lot and go over there. Okay. But he was very unpleasant. Chief of police in Ruleville, Mississippi.
so right there, you're out of the competition.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I explained it to him. I said, hey, look, man, sorry, I didn't know that was illegal here. I don't know, it's legal in some states. And, if I do get a citation, I'll be disqualified from this charity ride that I'm doing. I would love to, be able to get a warning. If you could, please, that'd be rad. I explained it to him, but he didn't. In ear, one out the other, and came back with a citation. So that
Well,
was that for me.
last year you did you make it?
I did. I did. I finished. I came in 21st place, and my time was about 10 days, 4 hours.
Damn, so
Um,
you have to sleep next to your bike.
yep.
So
Yeah, and
what's
it
that?
cannot be inside.
So what's it like, man, to sleep next to your bike the whole time? And
Oh, it's rad. It's super rad, man. I mean, I love it personally. I work out of town in Boise this for a stint this summer, and during that time I was actually just sleeping in my hammock. Because 7 hour ride, 6 7 hour ride to get to and from Boise, from where I'm at, and I was just like, yeah, I'll just find a spot close to the job site and That's that's
to
that's how I spent most of my summers in my hammock. So
get ready
sleeping
for it,
next.
right?
I
To
mean,
get ready for the
partially,
ride.
but then there's a part of me too that just enjoys it. Doesn't really
Did
bother
you
me.
any animals at night?
I
And
mean,
did
yeah, there's animals, yeah. I mean, but
walking around you while you're sleeping?
oh, I mean, no, not really. Not that I've experienced. Um, if you're in the right places, bears could get you, but it's there. That actually could have happened in 24 because we were up in Canada on the way to Alaska in the Yukon territories, and up there, we saw these like fenced in areas or whatever, and we thought, oh, that's kind of weird. I wonder what those are. So up at the next gas stop, we chose to bed down at like a gas station, right? And they're like, we talked to the folks at the gas station. Yeah, we finally, we decided to bed down here, and sleep for the night. And I mean, we saw these weird fence things that are out in the boonies, and they go, well, it's a good thing you didn't just kind of decide to sleep anywhere out there. What? Why? Oh, well, those fenced in areas are for people to camp inside. That those are to keep the bears out. So if you would have just slept anywhere, you might have gotten a visit from old Fuzzy Wuzzy. But
Yeah. Why are you guys cooking food and all that when you guys
some
stop?
some people do. Yeah, some people do. A lot of people carry the those little jet boil stoves and use like Mountain House dehydrated food, but that's not what I did for my food this year. I did something a little different, but I used what's called rec packs, and they are like a meal replacement meal in a pouch. Meal replacement in a pouch. Yeah. So they've got 30% of your daily intake of vitamins and minerals. They got all the macros that you need. 700 calories. It's got fiber in it. All of the essentials for each meal that your body needs to be able to carry on in high activity. And somebody, it's arguable whether what we do as long distance riders is high activity or not. But I mean, it's pretty high activity when you're running at the like caliber that or the speeds and the caliber that some of these riders are riding at. You got to throw the bike, 950,000 pound plus machine, and that's not even counting gear and yourself around these curves back and forth because these are all backcountry highways. So it burns a lot of energy. Not to mention the
Yeah,
fact you're dealing with heat and
yeah.
all the weather variables.
You can't be too out of shape doing that, right?
Oh no. No, no, no. I mean, you can, and people do. I mean, there's some people that are out of shape that do the Hoka Hey, but they're more often than not the ones that are out front are relatively fit. They've trained physically, mentally, with their bike, and they're in decent shape too.
How
More
many
often
people
than
are
not.
in? How many people do this ride?
Well, last year, when I say last year, I refer to 2024 because the event only happens every other year. Um, but in 24, we had approximately 240, approximately, and I think the final count before the start line this year was 273. So we increased our numbers a little bit.
But I mean, you got dropped out of it pretty quick, right? They cut you out of it pretty fast.
Well, I mean, so here's what happened with me this year. I'm a competitive person. Personally challenged myself to get to first place, and I was running that way, and that's how I was running the challenge for myself. And when I was chasing, I was chasing second place, I think, at the time that I got my ticket. In Ruleville. And this was going to be on day 3, I believe, which would have been Tuesday, this last Tuesday. So I got the ticket, and I was just like, man, this sucks. Some people get tickets and they don't self-report them.
Oh,
This
because
challenge,
you have to report it.
yeah, and it's about integrity and honor, and that's part of what this challenge is all about, right? Discovering yourself, learning things about yourself that you wouldn't otherwise learn, having integrity, honor, respect. That's what it's all about. But
Because
you
you
know,
got
there
second
are,
place and you got a bunch of tickets. It's gonna be like, dude, right?
yeah.
I'm
Well,
I'm sure
so
it happens.
oh yeah, no, and it does happen. But so this is kind of what happened for me, right? So I got the ticket. You know, I bummed out. Dang it, man! I'm out of the running. You know, I'm disqualified. So I pull over. I call up Hoka Hey headquarters and I say, hey, look, you know, I got a ticket. I'm out. Well, they said, okay, well, are you going to finish the route? Because that's still an option. Even if you get a ticket, you can still finish the route and just not be considered a finisher. And I was like, well, not sure yet. Let me call you back. Let me think about some stuff. You know, I
Not be
called my
considered
wife.
a finisher.
Yeah, yeah, because you would
So
be
you're not
disqualified
recognized. You're basically not recognized as.
as a finisher, right?
Yeah,
You would
yeah,
be disqualified because you got your ticket. You can still finish the route, and that's all well and good, but you know you're not technically a finisher, if that makes sense.
yeah.
You get a DNF if you've heard of that before. It did not finish, you know. So called my wife, talked to her, said, "Hey, look, I'm done, but you know, this is, you know, I got an idea, you know." So what my idea was is because this is a charity ride, I wanted to raise money. Well, it's also an expensive ride, so I don't want to put out the money if for the ride if I can't turn around to achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve in the first place, which was raise money for the Mile Monsters Inc. And I can tell you about that here in a few minutes. But so what I said was, I said, look, I put it out live on my Facebook. I put it out. I do these live with LOKO'S, and people love them. They like seeing the
Yeah.
updates from the road. I'm live, just from the seat of my motorcycle, and they love it. But I put it out there on that, and I said, look, I got a ticket, so I'm no longer a finisher. But if I can get $250 per day donated to my donation link, then I will continue on the Hoka Hey and perform as if I'm trying to still win it. And
Yeah.
that would have been pretty kind of a cool accomplishment to be able to get first place unofficially, and then still I don't know. To me, that would have been cool,
It would
and
have been
raise all this
weird though,
money for the
right?
boys.
You hit first place and you're not even like recognized. Imagine that.
But I would have been fine with that. Um, I would have been totally fine with that because what that means is that means I would have raised a enormous amount of money for my charity, and that was the whole purpose.
Did
That
people
was the
not
whole
donate?
purpose.
And that's
Oh
why you
no!
didn't go?
As soon as I announced that, the donations started coming in, and it was awesome. So I was going to continue. Um, so I got to, and I was only like 100, 150 miles or so outside of the first checkpoint at that point. And the donations just started flying in. I'm like, yes, okay, all right, I'm good with this. We can do this. We can raise some money. This is going to be great. Get to the first checkpoint, and the guy that was in second place was there. If you guys are following the tracker, his name's English, badass dude. I have all the most respect for him. And so when it went up to him, gave him a big old hug, because even though like there's a competitive nature to this, right? We're all brothers and sisters. We're all one big Hoka Hey family, and there's no hard feelings, right? So um, gave him a big old hug, talked to him about the route a little bit, what we've both been experiencing because we're all going on the same exact set of directions. So we all
Yeah.
experience the same stuff just at different times. Like, oh man, did you catch this road back here? That thing was crazy. Um, that sort of stuff, right? So he tells me that he's getting some oil because he's got like a head gasket issue, where he keeps dropping oil and needing to fill it up through his head gasket. And I was like, ooh, oh really? Okay, well I'm gonna go check in, grab my directions, and I'm gonna take off.
Yeah. Because
And I
then,
did, and I
then you
did.
take
So
over his spot, right?
yep, exactly, and that's
Yeah.
just part of the game. You spend time at a checkpoint, you're likely to change places, and that's just again part of the game, right? So, um, if you're a competitive person. Yeah, right. You know, at this point, I'm no longer in the challenge, right? At this point, I'm just going for a ride because I'm not technically a finisher. I'm not, you know, I'm not. How do I explain
Well,
it? I'm not
people are
in
donating money so you could do your charity, right?
exactly, but I can do that even off outside of the Hoka Hey. But the Hoka Hey is a fantastic platform to be able to raise that money because people love to watch it.
Yeah.
And you know, they love to watch it from the sidelines. They love watching the tracker and, you know, the podcasts and the updates and all of the, you know, the live with locos, you know, if you're talking about me, right? They love that stuff. And you know, my thought was, you know, not in it, but I can still raise money and, you know, give them something to watch, you know. And
Yeah.
so I took off, and about 5 minutes ish down the road, um, you know, this black SUV in front of me. We were going through some podunk South Country or South Mississippi country road, and she slammed on her brakes to make a left turn, and I hit my brakes, but wasn't fast enough. I slammed into the back of the SUV, flew over the handlebars, and my shoulder went into the back hatch of the SUV. And then next thing you know, I'm laying face up in the road, um, getting yelled at by her. Why'd you hit my car?